Good morning, everyone. It is April 23rd, Thursday. Believe it or not, this is day 42. This is the end of our 6th week of whatever you want to call this. But moving into our 7th week, today is the 14th day of the Omer. For those keeping score at home, I know it might be a little controversial. Maybe you want to go with Pete Rose. As a hockey fan, you want to go with Brendan Shanahan. I left out a big one yesterday, 13. I forgot that the great 13 is Jeff Suskin. Jeff Suskin wears number 13, star of our Shul basketball team, which probably that's one of the only benefits that comes out of all this is that our basketball team doesn't have to play because, they're prone to injury, but that's a whole other story. So again, that's today, and of course it's beautiful. Once again, it's raining, so this is, when they say when it rains, it pours. So it's getting an early start today, still having my morning coffee. And I want to study a Mishna with you. Before that, I want to remind everyone that tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh. Friday and Shabbos are Rosh Chodesh Iyar. And Iyar, Chazal tell us the letters of Iyar, Aleph, Yud, Yud, Resh, stands for the pasuk that we have in Beshalach, which is Ani Hashem Rofecha. Hashem says, I am your healer. And in that vein, let's continue to pray for a full recovery for Ivan Sobel, for Mordechai ben Elka, for Rafael Zev ben Rickel. And I want to add a name to that list is Rivka Basliba. Rivka Basliba, please add that to your list. Also a parent of one of our friends of our congregants who also needs our tefillas. So again, let's hope that they and all of Klal Yisrael and all those in the world that need healing will indeed receive the appropriate healing. Since yesterday we covered Hillel, I figured it's only fair that we cover Shammai today. So I said Hillel and Shammai. We had a couple of Mishnas from Hillel, and then Perek Aleph, Mishna Tetzvav, that's just chapter 1, Mishna 15. We're introduced to Shammai, and Shammai Omer, Asay Torah Secha Keva, Amor Ma'at VaAsay Harbe, VeHavei Mekabel Es Kol Ha'adam B'Sever Panim Yafos. Shammai says, one should make your Torah study a fixed matter. You should say little and do much, and you should receive everyone with what we call Sever Panim Yafos, which we'll get to at the end. But the first thing is that Asay Torah Secha Keva, the Gemara in Shabbos, which we had in the Daf Yomi recently, a couple of weeks ago, they said that when a person goes up to heaven, they ask you a series of questions. And one of those questions is, Kovata itim la Torah. Did you set aside time for study of Torah? We're commanded that every single day we have to study Torah. Again, it's one of the reasons why we're doing this, so that everybody at least will have some Torah in their day. But it means that Keva is something that is permanent, something that is established. Did you set, was there something like a time that was sacrosanct, that's it? No, I can't do it because it's my shir. I can't do it because it's my daf yomi. I can't do it because it's my chumash review, whatever it might be. But that's one of the things that you have to do. But it also means that it has to be a constant in your life. Torah has to be a guiding force in your life. On Tuesday in the women's shir, we studied some very, very difficult responsa from the Shoah, where people, even amidst the worst of circumstances, were using halacha to guide their lives. So halacha Torah is something that's a keva in your life. And then he says, say little and do much. It doesn't need much explanation. The Torah or life is about what you do, not about what you say. You could say a lot of things, but what you do is how people are going to remember you. How you're going to be judged is based on what you do. So he says, Emor ma'at v'aseh harbe. And there's a lengthier version of this in what's called Avos to Rabbi Nassan, which is a beautiful exposition on this one passage, learning from Avraham Avinu, who told his lad, he said, listen, go get something to eat for the angels. We learned in the beginning of Parshas Vayera. But in the end, he brought them a full meal. And he brought them each their own calf, and they had all these types of delicacies. And when in the beginning he said, just get them a little something to eat. It reminds me of my wife's grandmother, Aleha Shalom, that we never wanted to tell her we were coming over, because if we told her we were coming over, she would prepare a huge, huge meal. And if you say, I'm not hungry, that was not acceptable. It was unacceptable to say you weren't hungry. She prepared the whole full calf with all the trimmings because she knew you were coming. This is one of the many things that we love and miss about her. And the last thing is, and that's perhaps the most difficult thing for a lot of people, and maybe even today, is Mekabel Adam B'Sever Panim Yafos. It's very hard for some people to smile. It's very hard for people to, when they see them in the morning, the first thing, to not be grumpy. Maybe today it's easier because everybody has a mask on, so you can't tell if they're smiling or if they're grumpy. I don't know. But you would think, like, what's the big deal? But the truth is, for a lot of people, it's a very big deal to show a nice face. And sometimes when people, you see people first thing in the morning, and, hey, how are you? How's it going? And you don't want to ask how you're doing because then they're going to tell you. But the Torah tells us that the first thing that people see is your face, and you should exude niceness. You should exude being happy. You should exude sever panam yafos. That even if you're having a bad day, then you should be able to leave that on the inside, perhaps, at first impression. It doesn't mean that you can't let it out. It doesn't mean that you can't express it. But in general, when greeting people, and again, if you look at the language of the Mishnah, mekabel es kol ha'adam, like we saw yesterday, ehovet habriot. It doesn't say v'havei mekabel kol Yehudi. It doesn't say you have to accept and greet every Jewish person or everyone that you like or everyone who thinks or everyone who's a Republican, everyone who's a Democrat. It doesn't say that. It says kol adam, everyone. Even people that you may not agree with. So I think during these times, this is something that has become much improved. And I think when we go out and we actually see people, and I've said it before, but it's like, oh, look, humans. It's really, really exciting if you're able to do that. And that's something that should continue, hopefully, far, far beyond this mess. And again, I can't wait till the time comes when we can open our doors and I can greet every single one of you b'sever panim yafos, because I know that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful occasion. Again, I hope everyone has a good day, a chodesh tov, and we will talk very, very soon.